So Kevin and I just spent the night camping in this private garden slash pool area behind the hotel, and the hotel owner slash manager, whatever, just came and told us that we're invited inside for breakfast. So we're gonna go and get some food.
So very generous of him. His wife insisted we come in for breakfast. We're such a nice guy. And she's right.
Well, we just went in for breakfast, had a nice breakfast, and now we're gonna pack up our tents and get ready to cycle the final 25-30 kilometers into Vienna. So this is the end of our Prague to Vienna bike tour, and we're staying tonight with some of my bicycle touring pro readers who invited us to stay with us, and they may actually cycle with us from Vienna to Bratislava and maybe beyond. So yeah, that's the plan today, is cycle into Vienna, meet up with my readers in town there, and have a rest day. We're gonna rest tomorrow in Vienna, kind of explore the city a little bit, do our laundry, do some computer work, that kind of a thing. And yeah, that's the plan. So we're just about to the Danube River right now. We're gonna cross over the river and ride on this like little skinny island that divides the Danube from the new Danube, and then we'll ride down that island on a bike path into downtown Vienna. Here we are crossing over onto the island. Vienna is off there in the distance. This is the Danube River. Kevin's made a friend back there. The guy's asking about our bikes and telling us which way to go. This is fun!
I'm going down too.
So Kevin and I just turned into the Prater here in Vienna, and as soon as we were in the park, some young guy pulled up next to me and said, what did he say, Kevin? He said,
"Hey, I know you."
Yeah, he watches my videos on YouTube, and he knew that I went to film school, and yeah, so that was really cool. I took a picture with him. His name is Chris, and he lives here in Vienna. So now we're biking across the Prater. We're gonna try to visit my old apartment, and then we're gonna get some food. So here I am in the Proctor District of Vienna. Back in 2009, I rented an apartment that was in this building, and it feels like a lifetime ago. I had a little trouble trying to find this place, but this is where I lived for a month back in 2009 when I rode my bike from Switzerland to Greece. And I stopped here in Vienna, rented this apartment, called this place my home, and explored the city for a full month. So I just wanted to stop here really quick and check the place out. They've changed the door since I was here last, so I had a little trouble recognizing the place, but I can see inside, and this is definitely it. So we just had lunch at Veggiezz, the vegan restaurant chain here in Vienna. It was good, but it wasn't worth 15 euros. Vienna and Austria, I think, just Austria in general, is way more expensive than the Czech Republic.
Oh yeah.
And frankly, I don't see much of a difference in the quality of what we get for the money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we are making our way across the city of Vienna to my reader's house. I don't even know their name, but they've agreed to host us for the night. So we've got a couple hours to get there. We'll probably get there early, but we're making our way across the city now. All right, so that just about does it for our Prague to Vienna bike tour, and this was a great week-long cycling adventure in Central Europe. It was honestly like a bike tour that I would recommend to almost anyone anywhere in the world. If you're planning a bike tour in Europe, this is a fantastic route to do regardless of your cycling experience. Now, this route from Prague to Vienna was a little bit more hilly at the beginning of the trip than I expected, and I think all of us were surprised by the number of hills that we encountered during the first few days on the road. Now, as we got closer to Vienna, those hills almost completely disappeared and the route was totally flat. But those hills at the beginning definitely challenged us. So if you're planning to cycle this route for yourself, I would recommend going slow for the first few days, conquer those hills, and once you get out into the flatlands, you'll be okay after that. One of the things that I enjoyed most about this bike tour is the number of castles that we saw along our route. The Czech Republic is such a great bicycle touring destination. One, because it's cheap. Two, because the landscape is pretty spectacular in my opinion. And three, because there are cycling paths everywhere. And those cycling paths on this particular trip took us past a number of really interesting towns and villages and cities, as well as past a number of castles. And the Czech Republic, as I said previously, has more castles than anywhere else in the world. Highest density of castles in the world. So it was really interesting as we were riding through farmland and forests to occasionally pass one of these castles while we were out there on the road. Now, my biggest criticism of this bike trip was probably that the landscape was a little bit boring in some places. There was a lot of farmland, there was a lot of forests, and you can see that kind of stuff in a lot of countries around the world, in Europe or maybe in North America, etc. So there were days where I was thinking, gosh, this is kind of boring. But there were also a lot of moments where during the day we'd come out of the forest and we'd roll down into some town, and that's when you really began to experience what the Czech Republic was all about. These really small towns and villages where the architecture is so different than anything that we are used to seeing, especially as a North American, in our normal lives. So that's the part that I really enjoyed, and I think just like any of my other foreign bicycle tours that I've done in any other country around the world, I enjoy just the small things, going into a supermarket and looking at the labels on all the food and seeing it all in Czech and trying to figure out what all these things are and looking at items that they have at the supermarkets that we just don't have. I find that very, very interesting, and I think that's what makes something like bicycle touring such an adventure, especially when you're traveling in a foreign country. Now,
The other thing that I really enjoyed about this trip was the fact that I had 3 travel companions join me on the tour. Originally, it was just going to be me and Kevin cycling across Central Europe together. But then at the last minute, Michael got a week off of work and he was able to join us on the trip, and Lene joined us just in the last few days as well. So that was very cool, and I personally enjoyed cycling with this group of 4, myself and these 3 other people. I enjoy the dynamic of 4 people. I think it's a good way to travel, because when you travel just with one other person, you can get sick of that other individual. You're talking to them all the time and they only have you to talk to as well. So it's just you, back and forth all the time. Whereas with a group of 4, like I could talk to Kevin for a little bit while Michael and Lene talk, and then I can talk to Michael for a little bit while Lene and Kevin talk. And I think that is a great way to mix things up when you're bicycle touring. And I enjoyed the dynamic of this trip with these people. That being said, I was disappointed in the fact that we weren't able to deliver both Michael and Lene all the way to Vienna in the time span that we were given. Michael had to get back to work, and we all knew that at the beginning of the trip, that he had a certain amount of time to join us on this trip, and the plan from the very beginning was for him to either reach Vienna by bicycle or to jump on a train and then go to Vienna on the very last day in time for his flight home. So that was to be expected from the very beginning, and we didn't quite get him all the way to Vienna. We were 40 kilometers short. And frankly, we could have got him there, but it would have been after dark, and we just didn't want to do that. So if I were to redo this bike tour all over again, I'd probably just start one day earlier so that Michael would have that one final day to reach Vienna. I think 7 days is the ideal length for this particular bike tour without having to stress yourself out too much, and at the same time 7 days would allow you to cover this route without getting too bored. Now, Lene left the tour prematurely for different reasons, and at the time I didn't fully understand why she left, and I was afraid that I had personally done something wrong and made her want to leave. But I think looking back at all the footage now, and also having talked with Lene multiple times since the bike tour, I think she was just tired and wanted to go home. So I reacted differently than the other 2 people in the trip, and I think that's because I'm closer friends with Lene. I've done 2 previous bike tours with her. I felt more responsibility for her as the tour leader and as the bicycle touring pro. So I was kind of upset, not at Lene for leaving. I was just a little bit more upset at myself on the particular day that she did leave, because I was upset that I wasn't able to do my job and get her all the way to Vienna. But in the end, I don't think she really cared that she didn't make it to Vienna. She just wanted to have a bicycle touring experience. It didn't matter how long it was or how many miles she covered or anything like that. So in the end, I think it was a successful trip for all of us, regardless of the fact that we didn't all get to Vienna at the end of the bike tour. So that's really all I have to say about this particular bike tour. In general, I think it was fantastic. I enjoyed the company that I had along the way. I really enjoyed the Czech Republic overall, and I would love to go back there on a future bicycle tour. And I want to thank you, my viewers, for watching this video all the way until the very end. I hope you enjoyed these videos. I do try to show what bicycle touring is like in my videos. I knew that when I started making these videos for Bicycle Touring Pro that it would be very easy for me to edit the videos in such a way that every day looks like paradise, that it's just all easy, all wonderful, all rainbows and butterflies, and that's what the bicycle touring experience is like. But as the Bicycle Touring Pro, someone who has been cycling around the world for the last 18 years, almost 2 decades now, I can tell you honestly that bicycle touring isn't always like that. It is like that sometimes, but it's not always like that. And so with these videos and with all of the videos that I share here on the Bicycle Touring Pro YouTube channel, I try to show an honest interpretation of what bike touring is like. And on this trip, you saw that in the hills, in the heat, in some of the dynamics of the group, in Lene wanting to leave early and me struggling to figure out why that happened, in Michael leaving early, and then me and Kevin having to continue on our own and feeling a little weird when we were left on our own. Like, wow, we've gotten used to traveling with these other people and now we have to get used to traveling just with ourselves. These are the things that happen on a real bicycle tour, and that's why I shared them in this video. So I hope you understand that, I hope you appreciate that, and I want to thank you for watching and following along on my own bicycle touring adventures. Once again, I'm Darren Alf from BicycleTouringPro.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you out on the road sometime soon.